How you doing, everyone? It's me, Ahmed, again, here with another quick market update. See what's been happening in the cryptocurrency land. Sorry I wasn't here yesterday. I was actually away all day and didn't get a chance to record any content, but I'm back and let's see what's been happening. Let's start off with BTC. I want to take a quick look at BTC. I want to also take a look at Neo as usual. I want to take a look at Stellar Lumens. Stellar's one that for a while now I've been looking at, and it looks like it's kind of broken out over the last couple of days. So we'll take a look at that in a short while. And what else? Ripple. I'll take a quick look at Ripple as well, okay? Because obviously Ripple has been one of interest over the last few days, and I did make a kind of projection on that 2 days ago, and I want to see how things have turned out. So anyway, let's start off with Bitcoin, and yeah, basically. I mean, basically, since we started this trend up here, and a lot of people are kind of saying, okay, we're in a upward wedge. Let me just get rid of these EMA lines. Okay, from this section here, where a lot of people were kind of saying, okay, we're in a wedge. Just color this differently, color this pink, so it's visible, this section here. And many people were like, okay, we're gonna break out this wedge on a bearish side, okay, which we did. I guess you could say we did, yeah. And but I mean, we only really came down to this section here, okay. This is where we got the rejection, and if we check the cloud, I mean, we barely hit the 4-hour cloud. In fact, we just bounced off the 3-hour cloud here, which is it's a positive sign. I mean, we're bouncing off the cloud here, right? So that's something. I mean, this rising wedge did kind of play out on the bearish side. We did get rejection of this key resistance zone here at 44.50, and we broke out on the bearish side, but we found support. And where we found support, I've basically this is my where I'm drawing the new trend from now. Okay, so from this support to these support lines here, yeah, obviously not from this spike here. This was a very oversold spike here anyway. Like if you look at it, it was oversold on the 4-hour, oversold on the 2-hour, and so on. So anyway, so this is the trend I'm looking at here, and the previous kind of resistance zone here at 44, just under 4,500 still remains. I mean, we have resistance here as well. Obviously this is where we're getting rejected now, and you can see there's a kind of like a head and shoulders pattern kind of there. But anyway, that was at 4,400. Obviously psychological, that's going to have some bearing, but the key area we're looking to climb out of now is 45. Basically 45 is the key resistance zone, right? So if we can climb out of 45, then we're good. Also, just want to have a look on the 1-day chart. I mean, on the 1-day chart, you can see this trend is a lot clearer. You can see the open and close prices here. It's respecting it very much on the 1-day here, so that's a positive sign. And if we could just keep this trend going, then it's looking good. We should be able to break out this zone here. There's a couple of things still that we want to look at. Is this still could potentially be a rising wedge, okay, because the pattern still, we're just drawing the pattern from a different baseline here, support line, but this could still turn out to be a rising wedge, which could end up resolving itself on the bearish side, right? So we got to be wary of that. If you're trading it, then you maybe want to keep your stop below this line or something, right? Below this low here, you know, or you want to keep it, I would say below, but you know, below this low here. You don't want to really fall, you know, depending on where you purchased BTC. If you've been purchasing it, you know, around here, then you want to keep your stop tight below there. Okay. I mean, you could look at the higher time, closer time frames, and yeah, I would still say, I mean, if the thing is, you could keep your stop below here, but then we're still within the wedge. I mean, we could easily just bounce off, come down here, bounce off the line, and start going back up again, you know, and break out of this line and, you know, shoot to the all-time high, right? So, you know, then you'd be kicking yourself if that happens. So just to be, you know, to keep yourself in the game, then I would say maybe, you know, this area here is where you want to keep your stop, right? Because it could play out, play out as still like a bearish rising wedge, right? But it doesn't have to. That's just, you know, probabilities. You know, on the 1 day chart, I mean, it's respecting this this trend line. Okay, it's really holding this trend line here, and we bounced off this sell-off here quite strong. We bounced off this sell-off quite strong. So there's gonna be volatility here, and you know, 4,500 is quite psychological, and also it's quite close to the all-time high anyway of 49.50. Sorry guys. So, you know, there's gonna be some chopping around here. Just be wary of this. It's still kind of in an upward wedge. Another thing is, I mean, this isn't really clear. This isn't really a clear, you know, I wouldn't say this is a clear indication of a head and shoulders, but we could potentially be forming a head and shoulders on the 1 day. Okay, on the 1 day. Obviously this was a big panic sell-off here. Okay, so if we look at it from this perspective, that's something that we could, you know, on a longer term scale, we could be we need to kind of bear in mind. So that's obviously a bearish pattern there. Whether or not we complete it, it's, you know, it remains to be seen. We need to really break down here for this to complete. It's not looking like it's going to do that now. Also, obviously, that in confluence with the rising wedge is something you need to look at. I'm not trying to spread FUD here or anything, guys. I'm just looking at it on a technical level. I'm not saying this is going to play out like this. It could possibly, you know, I'm still feeling quite bullish on Bitcoin, right? Even in the short term, right? But there are some fundamental factors that are influencing the price as well. There's a lot of uncertainty at the moment, as with the last fork, hard fork. You know, it's this SegWit 2x is kind of looming over our shoulders, and you know how the price, how the market is going to take that remains to be seen. You know, is it going to be similar to Bitcoin Cash? Is it going to be different? Is there something fundamentally that's going to really affect you know, Bitcoin legacy now it's being called, right, by a lot of people. So, you know, we need to kind of you know, just kind of keep an eye on the markets and see how the markets, how the price is going to factor all of this stuff in, right? But I'm just showing you guys that there are a couple of factors here, a couple of bearish indications, but nevertheless, look, on the positive side, we're holding this uptrend nicely. We're generally holding the cloud support. You know, we're holding the trends nicely. Every time we come down to test this trend, you know, we've been bouncing off it nicely. Okay, so you know, we just need to see how this plays out over the next 2 days. We will, you know, if we break out here and hold this zone, we will find some resistance here as well on this 4,700. Okay, so this zone right here, I know, like, this is so close to the all-time high, it's almost like, you know, is it worth mentioning? But it is, and I'm gonna you know, highlight that here. Yeah, that's the right color. So this zone right here is gonna be the pretty much exact zone where it can find resistance. Why am I saying that here? Because these day candles are meeting, basically, you know, these day candles are kissing here, right? And it's the top of these wicks here. So very simple, you know, that's the very simple way to look at it here, and it's correlating with 4,700 on the dot, right? So that's where we will probably reject, okay, and come back down here. Okay, we need to keep a look at the oscillators as well and see the strength of the oscillators. How overbought, oversold are we on the RSI, and where are we in the actual oscillation of this stochastic RSI? Okay, so these two things for me is enough. I don't really need the MACD or anything. If I've got these two things, now and then I will use the MACD, and in fact I do like using my moving averages as well. Okay, so on the 12-hour, I mean, basically, let's take a look on the 4-hour chart. We're just kind of trading, we have just, you know, been trading slightly below the 10-day EMA, but we're trying to climb back above it now. Okay, the 6-hour is still, you know, when we had that big sell-off, we sold below the 6-hour EMA, but we didn't have a cross, we didn't have a bearish cross, so things are still bullish on that side. Okay, and we've got, you could look at this and you could say, okay, we're forming a V bottom, because if we form a V bottom and then this next one is round like this, then we could start to do this, have a breakout like that. Okay, that's called Adam and Eve. So this is Adam and that's Eve because it's like curvy, right? And then we could form like the Eve could form like into a cup and handle and then compress around here and then have a breakout. That's just one possible scenario. Okay, if we continue this this pattern here, is something to look out for. But the positive thing is we're kind of bouncing off this 10-day EMA, although right now we're kind of pushing down a bit. We have to, this 6-hour candle's got 1 hour 40 minutes left to play out. We just need to look how it plays out. It could come back down to the 12-hour EMA line on the 10-day EMA line and bounce off this right here, so which would correlate with the bottom of this candle here. So let's see, hopefully this you know, it's nice to have an inside bar. So if we have this candle opening and closing and finishing the whole candle you know, within this candle, then, you know, that's a positive sign. So that's Bitcoin. Just keeping close eye on. And now there's a couple of factors that are showing bearish signs. There's a few factors that are showing bullish signs. Ultimately, we're in the no man's land at the moment, right? Still, you know, at a fairly good price, 43.40, right? It's close, you know, not that far off the all-time high. I mean, if we look at the percentage as a percentage, it's you know, 12% down from the all-time high. Yeah, so it's fair amount, but you know, in crypto land, you know, any kind of swing and that can be made up in, you know, half a day, right? So that's cool. Let's take a look at NEO. Now, NEO versus BTC, that's the one I'm going to look at. Okay, so we were let's look at the sorry, the 6-hour chart. So we were on this nice kind of, you know, we had these nice waves up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is going to be my Elliott now. Okay, and then we've had this correction here. Okay, and now, you know, we're kind of, you know, the markets are kind of uncertain at the moment. If we take a look at coin market cap, let's have a look. Coin market cap, you know, in general, it's another red day. We've had a lot, look at this, we've had a lot of red days recently. Okay, a lot. Ethereum is doing well today. It's surpassed the 307 mark, but in general, Stellar, we're going to get to that. In general, we've had a lot of red days. I mean, you know, it's just the uncertainty in the market. I think the Bitcoin 2x is causing a lot of uncertainty. Next is having a decent day, but Next has had many weeks of red, of blood, right? So you know, if you've had many weeks of blood, then eventually you know, you are going to have 1 or 2 positive days. But moving on to NEO guys, although we've had a few we've had a little downtrend, in general, guys, if you look at the chart, it's performed better than, I'd say, 95% of the coins out there during this climate of uncertainty. Okay, so that's the thing you've got to look at. I mean, if this was a confident climate right now, then, you know, this is incredible considering the, you know, the climate we've been in. And it's not like a pump. This isn't like just like a pump and dump. This is a nice kind of structured flow, structured move up, right? So this is like the market saying, okay, we're done now. We want to start moving up now. We want to start, you know, forming our next cycle, let's say, yeah. But obviously with the uncertainty in the markets, it does have an extra effect on, you know, how this plays out. Now, anyway, we've had this nice move up, and since then, let's look at the 4 hour, guys. Since then, we had this nice sell down here, okay. In fact, let's look at the 2 hour. Sorry, guys, I know I keep moving it. We've had this nice sell down here, okay, and this was downward resistance, and then we broke this resistance here. We broke this resistance here, okay. So, you know, we broke this resistance, held this support zone right here. You can see this support zone at the top of these candles and the bottom of these candles, okay, right there, okay. And since then, you can see we held this support zone, broke out, okay, because we create the flag here. You can see this flag here, you know, this flag here, that's a flag, okay. And, you know, and the next kind of support zone is here, guys, okay, is right here, okay. And I mean, it's clearer on the 4 hour to see the support zones. You can see it clearer here, okay, you can see that. So, and this is kind of like forming another flag here, but it's prolonging a bit, okay. But it's just taking some time to play out, okay. What I want to highlight for you here is when we came up to this zone, sorry, again on the 1 hour, we created a little descending triangle here, because we came up, there was a flat like a support line here, but we were trading down here. So I was kind of waiting for this to play out last night, whether it breaks out on the bullish side or it breaks out on the bearish side, because it's a downward descending triangle. Sometimes they break out on the bearish side. However, you know, we have like, it was kind of it was a result of a bullish movement. So usually they break out on the bullish side, right? So we broke out on the bullish side out of this descending triangle here, okay. But we've remained within this support, the next resistance zone, which we're looking to make our next support zone. So if we look at the 4 hour, which is obviously, you've gathered by now, I take my support and resistance zones most of the time from the 4 hour. I've took this support and resistance zone from here. You can see boom, 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 you know, there, that clear support and resistance zone. And you can see, guys, you know, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, you know, 28, you know, 32 hours, basically 32 hours we've been trading, bouncing in and out but between these zones, and you can see we're still bouncing off it right now. It's trying to break out here. It's trying to break out here. You can see this is clearly, I mean, this candle has opened above this candle here, so it really is trying to break out here, and it did. You know, you can see the price, actually one of the wicks broke out through this zone, but it came back down. So what we're looking for here is a solid close above this line. Like, you know, I would really want at least a 2 hour candle to close above this line, like close in this area or above, right? And then we can say, and then with NEO, we can say, okay, we've broken above this line, and then we've got stair step around here and then break above that line, okay. And we want to keep on doing the same thing. Basically, we're just kind of stair stepping our way, you know. We've stair stepped our way here, okay. So you know, that is something, you know, we gotta keep in mind. Just keep a look at these support and resistance zones. Obviously, the thing that's going to have an effect on this is how Bitcoin plays out as well. So if any kind of major disruptions in Bitcoin, obviously it affects the whole market. Obviously, you've seen on CoinMarketCap how it affects the whole market. But like I said, look, compared to the majority of the market, look, NEO's like 0.5% down. You know, let's compare it to Bitcoin. I think it's done well. You know, it's done better than Bitcoin, right? It's 0.94% up, right, which is more than these, apart from Ethereum, obviously. So if you like, we can take a look at Ethereum as well. So anyway, moving on from NEO, like I said, just keep an eye on here. Once it closes above the let's say 0.0079. If it closes above 0.0079 on a 1 or 2 hour candle, then you know we're in business, guys, and we can start to move forward, right? What else are we going to look at? Okay, so Stellar Lumen. Let's take a look at Stellar Lumen, because I want to kind of first of all, guys, in Bittrex, this is called Lumen, and the ticker is XLM. But in Poloniex, I think it's STR. You can see STR is Stellar. Okay, so I usually do things on Bittrex, so that's Lumen, which is XLM. Okay, so let's look at Lumen Bitcoin. Now, yesterday I was looking at this, and it was kind of around here. It's kind of around here. I had to go out for the day, so you know, I couldn't really do any trading or anything. But I was looking at it. It was around here, and Stellar is a coin that when it pumps, it can really go some. I mean, if you look at the last pump it had, and bearing in mind this is against Bitcoin at this time, Bitcoin had a huge pump as well, right? So this was like going up huge amounts, right? It went up like 1,600% almost against Bitcoin, and Bitcoin itself probably went up like, you know, like I don't know, like 800-900% or something, right? So it's crazy. But what we can see here, guys, I drew this line yesterday as the very last downward resistance line, right? So this was the last downward resistance line. And another thing I want to highlight, guys, is look at the amount of volume that came in here. You know, this volume here is like higher than any. It's the highest volume it's ever had. That's the highest volume. Like it's let me just look at the percentages here. I mean, right, let's say that is 62 or 63%. So the next highest volume was 31% from the bottom, right? And this is 63%. So the volume that came in yesterday, was double the previous all-time high volume. Yeah, let me repeat that. The volume that came in yesterday was double the previous all-time high volume. Okay, so that's nuts, guys. And again, I mean, we had a sign of that the day before. We could have seen the day before the volume that came in like almost matched the all-time high volume. Okay, so yesterday's was double the previous all-time high volume, and today again we're almost double that the previous all-time high volume. So the volume's coming in, guys, and you can see this on Bittrex. If I move this, here, then you can see this here. I mean, the volume here, you know, 2,900 BTC, and it just seems to be going up at the moment as well. So is it going up or going down as we speak? Let me just check just quickly. Going up. It's going up. In general, it's going up. Okay, so that's amazing, guys. That is telling me that we've broken this downward resistance, this long-term downward resistance here, you know, since July, basically we're talking about here, yeah. And we've broken through it with some force. with some force, guys. Yeah. So what do we look for now? I mean, there's a couple of things here. I mean, I personally think, you know, this coin, I mean, if we look at the let's look at the website, what's been happening with the website. I haven't checked Reddit or anything, but I guess I can do that. I mean, I'm not really too big on, you know, doing a lot of fundamental research or anything, but we can see they're very, very active on their Twitter, and they've got some sort of, you know, some sort of event going on. You know, they're trying to get added onto CEX. They're definitely doing things every day. Like today, they've made like 3 tweets or whatever, you know, and you know, they've got their monthly roundup. They're doing something with ICOs as well. I don't know if they're, you know, they have ICOs on their platform or anything, but they're definitely on the up, guys, and they're very, very active. So whatever the case, they've got a very active community. They've got 32.5 thousand followers on Twitter, and they're it's definitely you know, they're definitely moving forward, right? So basically what I want to show you on a technical level, for me, I mean, this is like, you know, basically get positioned, right? Because this amount of volume coming in, and you know, it's basically saying to me that, yeah, this, you know, we're looking to start our new market cycle. So there's a couple of things that you want to be wary of. Okay, yes, we have very high volume coming in with Stellar, but if you look at where we sold off from, the 1 day cloud. Okay, you see it's bounced off the bottom of the 1 day cloud here. So that 1 day cloud is still strong resistance. All right, the 1 day cloud is still strong resistance. Okay, but on a positive note, we're getting in volume. You can see the volumes coming in here, right? The 12 hour is looking good, but the thing I want to show you guys is, if you look at the 1 day RSI, we're getting into the overbought zone. And if you look at the 12 hour RSI, you know, it's very much in the overbought zone, guys. We haven't been there since May. Okay, so we haven't been this overbought since May. So that's basically what that says to me, is that we're gonna have a big sell-off. We have to have a big sell-off soon. We can't be that overbought. You know, look at the 6 hour, guys. It's crazy. It's up. Basically, it went up to the 90s before coming down, right? So, you know, but then, you know, the volume keeps coming in, right? But look, on the 6 hour, look, we went up to the 574 satoshis, and now we that same candle came back down to 490, right? So if you're looking at Stellar and you want to kind of get entered, you want to get positioned for the next, I don't know, few weeks or whatever, and see how things pan out, then basically what you need to do is just wait for it to play out, and, you know, find a decent support zone. Okay, so I personally think it's gonna come back down quite a lot, right? How much is going to come down remains to be seen. Possibly down to this zone here. All right, I mean, I think that's the top for now, where that candle, look, we're creating a bearish I forgot what they call it, a bearish hammer, I think. So if we, okay, that's definitely going to sell down in the short term, guys. I think we're going to sell down and hit this the top of this downward resistance line is going to act as support now, but I think we will sell back down just below it. And if we want to look at some correlations, what we can do is just pick out our fib tool and just take it straight from the bottom to the top. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, if we take it from the bottom here, we can basically say that this line here correlates with the 61.8. okay, I mean, we can pretty much, you can see that, right? So this correlates with the 61.8, but you can also say, if we look at the 4-hour chart, okay, and then let me just check something here. Yeah, okay, so if we check the, yeah, I mean, you can see obviously the 38.2 is going to provide some sort of support here. Yeah, because you can see there's a direct correlation here with the fib. I mean, there's a direct confluence right here with the fib and the levels, right? So, you know, we're going to have a little bounce off here, but, you know, it depends how strong it is. I mean, the thing is with this, we're going to have a strong bounce off the, we're going to have a strong bounce off the 38.2, right? Because the reason being, if we look at the 1 hour again, the reason being, guys, is that 38.2 is a cross section from the downward resistance line, this support zone here from before, and the Fibonacci as well, right? I mean, obviously you might be thinking, okay, well, 38.2, that's not, you know, a great like retrace. Usually you want at least a 50% retrace or a 61.8 retrace. But if we're saying, okay, Stellar's gonna, you know, it's gonna start its new cycle, and sometimes, you know, when things are like this bullish, when this much volume comes into the market, sometimes, you know, we don't have a full retrace, we have a little retrace and then really kind of rock it off again, you know. I mean, if you look previously with Stellar, if we look previously with Stellar, I mean, how did it behave before? Look at how it behaved before. Did we have like a full retrace down? No. I mean, when it decided to go, it really went. We had a little, you know, a little retrace down. Like if we for example measure this move here, you know, we had, yeah, maybe it came down to the 50% zone here, right? So what you could do here is maybe, you know, buy the majority at 50%, or buy some at 38.2 and maybe leave some left over for the 61.8. Just depends, you know, just depends. But you know, all I'm showing here is that there is a direct correlation between the downward resistance, the 38.2, and this zone right here. Okay. You know, alternatively, if the retrace is a long drawn out retrace, then you could say the same thing about the 50 here. So if it takes like a day to retrace, we get, you know, long, we could say the same thing about the 50% zone here, because the 50% zone also is a support zone here. Can you see the support zone here? All right, so I'd personally buy majority at 50% and 61.8, guys, in all honesty, because we're gonna have, you know, after a pump like this, and after the RSIs are looking so overbought, we're gonna have at least a full day of retrace, in my opinion. But we'll touch base on Stellar in the near future, maybe tomorrow, the next day, maybe a couple of days time, and see how things went with Stellar. Okay, so let's take a quick look at Ethereum, because Ethereum has been showing some bullish signs. Okay, so against the dollar, or let's say USDT, okay, so key zone, we're still at the key zone here. All right, I know it's broken 300. It's broken 300, guys, but really and truly, guys, this zone right here, this zone right here is still the key zone. Strangely enough, it's just above 300, right? I mean, this line right here is the is strong resistance. I mean, I'm just being precise. People will say, oh, you know, $300, right? But you know, that's like people saying, okay, well, this zone here, of course, you know, this zone is going to be choppy, right? We can see that, you know, it's going to be a choppy zone right here, you know, which is true. But to be exact, you know, to be exact, I'm looking at this line right here as the main resistance line, and I want that to become the main kind of support zone. As it broke out here and it bounced back up off here, this should be the main kind of support zone, right? So I can kind of move this down. Maybe actually just leave that here. So on the dollar here, you know, we really need to close. We need to close above 320, I would say. If we close above 320, like on a 6-hour candle, like as you can see here, look, we're pushing off the bottom of this line here, right? So, you know, although it's been looking bullish, you know, we are now basically we haven't broken out the main resistance yet. So, you know, I can't really say to you, yeah, we're going to go back to all-time highs, because all we're doing really is this bouncing off the main resistance line that we've been trying to break out of for quite a long time now. In terms of trends, then, you know, I guess let's take a look. I mean, the good thing is, guys, is that we're in a nice ascending triangle, right? So eventually, I mean, this is the dollar chart. Obviously, the main price is going to be driven by Bitcoin, so we need to look at the Bitcoin chart. But we're getting driven up this ascending triangle. So, I mean, let's take a look at the on balance volume. Yeah, the volume's starting to it's going up, but it's actually, if you look at the volume, okay, right, here's something that is slightly concerning about Ethereum, is that the volume here is actually on its way down, but that same zone here, that same zone, you can see it's the same zone, it's actually slightly heading up here. So as the chart is heading up here, the on balance volume is slightly coming down here, and that to me is not, it's not bullish, guys. It's not bullish. A lot of people are kind of bullish on Ethereum right now, but not me. I mean, let's see how this ascending triangle plays out, but I would be keeping very, very tight stops on Ethereum if you're trading it on the day-to-day. You know, maybe just below these support zones here, you know. I think it could, you know, there's a lot of pressure on Ethereum with the whole kind of ban on ICOs and regulations looming. You know, the regulations are probably going to hit Ethereum and their network harder than, you know, other coins, right? Because, you know, all of these coins are kind of, you know, using Ether to kind of do their trading and buying and selling. They're using the Ethereum kind of network to you know, to build their projects on. So let's just kind of look at the BTC chart as well to get some sort of correlation or confluence or what have you. So this is my my support and resist, well, my downward resistance line that I drew from before. Okay, as you can see, I'm not drawing it from the top here because that broke a long time ago. This is the very final resistance line that I've drawn. Okay, I mean, the good news is that, you know, we're pretty much at the bottom here against Bitcoin, right? We're pretty much at the bottom, right? But you know how, you know, I mean, when we break out and if we break down further, it remains to be seen. I mean, I don't think we're going to break down further. This seems to be quite strong. This is quite a strong bottom right here, and we're definitely coiling up here. You know, this is all coiling up. This is building pressure. So who knows? I mean, you know, maybe I have bought some Ethereum and I'm just holding in a separate wallet. You know, so, you know, it remains to be seen. I mean, I bought Ethereum for, you know, to do some ICOs and things like that. But, you know, we'll see what happens. Maybe Ethereum is going to shoot up in price as well. But like against Bitcoin, we're still very much in this downward resistance. So although Ethereum has been performing well in general against the other coins, against Bitcoin today, and we can see well, it's 3.8%. It's not huge, but it's better than some of the other coins, right? The others are in minus. And Stellar, we just looked at, which has done fantastic, but it's had all that volume come in, right? And it needs a huge correction. So don't expect to see Stellar at this level tomorrow, right? I mean, all those people buying today, it's sad, but they're going to see the balance drop by a considerable amount this time tomorrow, right? Unless they keep very tight stop losses, right? So anyway, so that's Ethereum. We're still very much in this downward resistance zone. We need to at least break above this 0.075 zone to at least show some signs that it's going to start its new cycle. And obviously the volume here, let's take a look at the volume here. The volume here is, I mean, it's still high volume, but Ethereum's always high volume now. In general, the volume's been coming down. Obviously, I'd like to see it come down more, maybe down to around here, before we really start to kind of break out again. In terms of the actual, let me have a look here how this plays out. Yeah, I mean, you could really draw that anywhere though. Do you see what I'm saying? We could draw that here and it would still make sense. In fact, I'm just going to leave that. I'm just going to leave that right here and see. Anyway, so that's Ethereum. Yeah, it's looking good, but we're very much still in the downward resistance. We could have another pump up, but we're just probably most likely just going to bounce off this downward resistance. We could break out. It remains to be seen. If we if we don't break out and then we come back down and we just keep on stringing along here, then that's one play. If we break out and close above here somewhere, we close like 6 hour, 12 hour candles above here, then we need to reassess and reassess Ethereum and think, is it gonna open a new market cycle, begin a new market cycle, and then maybe we can kind of start looking to kind of buy in around this zone here. If it breaks out and then comes back here to test, and then we can start to buy from there. Okay, so next coin I want to look at is Ripple. All right, okay, so this is the point I want to make. Okay, let's look at BTC first. Okay, so everyone was kind of going with Ripple, everyone's saying, okay, everyone's buying Ripple, which is true. Everyone was buying Ripple. I mean, it broke this downward resistance zone here, right? And Ripple has got a lot of it's got a lot of hype around it at the moment, right? And we broke this little down resistance zone here as well. And now, in fact, on the Bitcoin chart, let's have a look, guys, 1 second. Let's look at the volume. Yeah, and the volume's there, but it's coming down from our overbought zone. The 12 hours pointing down, 1 day is pointing down, 6 hours overbought, coming down. It needs to come down a bit more. The 4 hours about to reset on the stock. The 2 hours pretty much reset. Now it's coiling down. Yeah, I mean, it is creating a nice kind of like bullish, like symmetrical triangle, or we could say a bullish pennant here. I mean, if we look at the 1 hour, we can say it's creating a nice bullish triangle here. Yeah. Which is good. I mean, that's good, right? And it's respecting this this cloud very nicely. right? So that's good, right? It's showing signs of bullishness, especially against Bitcoin, right? But against the US dollar, we're still in this downward resistance zone here. Okay, so we're still very much in the main downward resistance. I know these lines are not looking clear, but you know, if we look at it against the 4 hour, for example, it will be a bit clearer here, right? So I mean, we can, for example, just move this up a bit, move this there you go. That's done now, right? So there you go. So basically, guys, yeah, this is my line here, okay? And we're still very much in the downward resistance zone. I'm not saying it's not going to break out. It very well could break out, and there are signs, there are fundamental signs as well that, you know, it probably will break out. But in terms of a technical aspect, we're still within this zone here. Now, you know, if the volume keeps coming in, we can see the volume is rising. You may want to get in. You know, it's up to you. It's up to, you know, how you trade. I mean, a lot of people will wait for this zone to break out before they really, you know, try and find an entry. They'll probably, you know, for example, have their buy zones here, for example, yeah, believe it or not, or have it up here. Okay, so what they will do is wait for the breakout to happen, and then, where is it? Wait for this to break out to happen and then bounce off here before moving up. Okay, which makes sense because this is good risk to reward ratio. Okay, other people, because we're not sure if this is going to break out of here, you know, it could just do this. It could just do this, right? It could. Look, it's happened before, you know. So, or it could break out, in which case that's basically confirmation that we've had a major long-term breakout, okay? And then we can reassess and get a good entry at a support zone, okay? And then what we can do is use things like okay, let's say we would use like Fibonacci, for example. Like if you use Fibonacci from here, we can pretty much see that, okay, it's in this first zone here, in this first like 23.6. You know, it's most likely going to come down if it wants to come down more, but it's looking quite bullish, right? And you know, if it does break this downward resistance zone, then basically, yeah, we're in business. We've got confirmation it's going to break out. You know, more volume is going to come in. We can find a good entry, you know, whether it's here or somewhere else. You basically use Fibonacci. When that happens, you find the top, find the recent low, the recent top, and then see if that correlates with any kind of major support and resistance zones, and pick your spot. Basically, that's it. But yeah, it's certainly looking more bullish against Bitcoin than it is against the dollar, right? Because this is looking a lot more it's had a lot more consolidation here, and it's creating a bull flag here, and this looks like it's just gonna burst. It looks like it's about to burst. But you know, let's see some of these oscillators, once they reset a bit, you know, and like catch their breath, you know, gather some more momentum, gather some more volume here. This is coiling here, you can see. So yeah, if once this bursts, if this has a really bullish break, if it has a nice burst of volume, then this can quite easily, you know, push up quite high. You know, we can easily get some nice percentage gains out of Ripple. And just to kind of get some sort of idea where we could be heading from here, I mean, the obvious top is, the first top is here, because this top this top right here, this is one. Okay, so 7,066. all right, and this zone here, these are the first zones I would be looking at here. All right, so that's what I would be looking at personally, to, you know, maybe buy, sell here. You know, even if you buy now and sell there, I mean, what kind of percentage would you be looking at? Bear in mind, this would be a day trade. That's 30%, right? If you hold for the longer, I mean, if we start to show like a lot of volume coming in and we really start getting a nice push and we just break through there, then we're looking at like 63%. I would probably sell down at probably at 55%, just to kind of ensure my profits. Or I'd not 55%, I'd probably sell at 60, down here at 60%. Yeah, or at the bottom of this wick right here, I would probably sell right here at 60, let's say 58%, guys, right? That's probably where I would sell that. So that's just, you know, I'm just kind of sharing with you my play on this. If I was to, you know, trade this, that's on the Bitcoin chart. But like I said, look, it depends how it reacts on the USD chart as well. I mean, you know, a lot of the Ripple price is driven by fiat currency, not by Bitcoin. So because it's traded more with fiat and not with Bitcoin, although it is traded a lot with Bitcoin, don't get me wrong, but it's traded more with fiat currency, right? So something we need to keep an eye on is what the chart looks like against the US dollar, right? So that's it from me, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think, what your thoughts are. You know, if you want me to cover any other coin. In fact, just name the coins you want me to look at, and the one that gets the most upvotes, like likes or whatever, then I'll have a look at that specific coin for you guys, okay? And if you like this content, it's free. I'm going to be putting out more free content on my channel on a regular basis. And don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see me on the next one. And until then, guys, adios.